Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And yes, I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons 5e. And today's topic is a topic that is close to my heart because I love wizards. That's just me. We're going to talk about Nystul's magic aura. Oh my gosh, is this a hornet's nest of problems, this Nystul's magic aura? Turn to page 263 of the Player's Handbook for what has to be one of the more complicated and involved spells that I have come across in all of the videos I have done on spells. This is probably the hardest one for me to actually get my head around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the section and passage, break it down for you, explain it if I need to, and then I'm going to sort of give you a sort of a demonstration on how you might sort of apply it in your game with some sage advice, because there are some sage advice questions with regard to this mighty spell. Okay, here we go. Nystul's magic aura. It is a level 2 illusion magic spell. It has a casting time of 1 action, wonderful. It has a range of touch, so you have to touch it. Has components are verbal, somatic, and material, and you're going to use a small square of silk to cast the spell. Its duration, though, is 24 hours. That is a long time. Honestly, there aren't too many spells that have a duration as long as this, so this is pretty impressive. Okay, so the breakdown for the spell is it's basically a spell designed to hide things from probably players, because I can't imagine a player using the spell. Dungeon masters, absolutely. So you place an illusion on a creature or an object you touch so that divination spells reveal false information about it. The target can be a willing creature or an object that isn't being carried or worn by another creature. So in other words, the object can't be worn or carried. It has to be sitting somewhere, and the creature that you cast the spell on has to be willing. So you can't cast it on a hostile creature. Well, we've got that established. Wonderful. Let's move on. When you cast the spell, choose one or both of the following effects. The effect lasts for the duration. If you cast the spell on the same creature or object every day for 30 days, placing the same effect on each time, the illusion lasts until it has been dispelled. So in other words, you can put it on there pretty much permanently, which is awesome. So really hugely useful for a dungeon master who has a villain that has things they want to hide from the player's characters. And let's get real, there are many things you want to hide from the player's characters. Okay, here is the aspect. You can use the false appearance or the mask feature for this particular spell. So false appearance, you change the way the target appears to spells and magical effects such as detect magic, wonderful. The detect magic auras can be altered, so you can basically make them a different aura, and it's only an appearance, it's not actually changing the aura itself, it's actually just the appearance of what the aura is being detected. You can make a non-magical object appear magical, and a magical object appear to be non-magical, or change the object's magical auras so that it appears to be to a specific school of magic that you choose. Well, that's interesting. When you use this effect on an object, you can make the false appearance magic appear or be apparent to a creature who touches it. So you can actually build into the spell that if they just look at it and use divine magic, that it's going to give them false readings, whatever you have set up. But if you touch the object or the creature, you can set it up so that they can figure out there is some sort of something else going on here. So there's a difference there. You can actually specify. There's a lot of control allowed to how you set up this spell. So you need to be very specific about how you actually communicate what you're doing with a spell in your game. Okay, what about mask? You change the way the target appears to spells and magical effects. that detect creature type, so you can change the creature type that is detected, such as the Paladin's Divine Sense, or the trigger of some sort of symbol magic. Okay, you choose a creature type, and other spells, magical effects, treat the target as if it were a creature of that type or of that alignment. So you can change creature type and alignment. So that's what Mask is essentially doing. So it's not really hugely useful in terms of being able to actually channel and change the very nature of how that spell works. So here is what I understand from what I've read from the spell, so that it's really, really clear, and then we're going to deal with some sage advice, because there's definitely got to be some discussion around that particular topic. And yes, there is going to be some maps and miniatures, because that's me, that's my channel, man, that's how I do things. That's how I rock around here. False appearance. Okay, the first part is, so you can change the aura of the target to give it the incorrect information when it's being used, and you can also remove the aura completely. So in other words, you can make it seem like it's not magical. So that's the first aspect. The mask. So in other words, you can change creature type and alignment, and it'll give you incorrect information. And this is using some sort of divine spell or a divine ability of some kind. So here's the problem with this spell. So magical spells effect, it's really not a player's spell. It's not, because the players are very rarely going to be using this in their game. And it's probably not used a lot by players. I don't think I've ever seen it used by a player. I have seen it used by a dungeon master in a game, and that's really the only time. So this is a super useful tool for a dungeon master who wants to screw with their players and their characters and make life very, very, very peculiar and different. And I'm going to discuss the sage advice stuff, and then I'm going to give you some sort of ideas about how you can use it in some villainous and notorious way. Yes, let's get a little bit evil, shall we? So sage advice, the big one. This is the one that really people have been waiting for, right? The identify spell can tell if an object has been under the effect of Nystul's magic aura. I know what you're thinking, Fred. Hang on. The identify spell is divine magic. It's a divine spell, so it should not be able to pick up that there's Nystul's magic aura on it. Well, here's the problem. You've got two spells that say they can do two different things. And I had to read through Identify, and I had to read through the description for this spell a few times before I could unpack it. So what it means is, if you use something like Identify and whatever you have cast Nystul's magic aura on, you're going to be able to find out that Nystul's magic aura has been cast on that item. You might find that you can't pick up a magic aura when you're doing your Identify. Certainly that will be in play, but you can still tell that the magic item has been affected, or there is some sort of magic on it. So you'll know that. You will probably be able to also pick up some of the features behind the magic item, so some of the properties. But it won't be giving off an aura if you've decided to disguise or give that false aura, or remove the aura completely. But then again, you have to know that you have to touch it and cast Identify, so it's not going to be very helpful unless you start handling and casting Identify. And of course, Detect Magic is going to be fooled completely, because it deals with magic auras. So there's the first part of it. Nystul's magic aura doesn't bypass magic item attunement. It's not like you can get rid of the attunement requirements for a magic item, so you can't do that. It's not going to remove the feat requirements of anything, so you can't use Nystul's magic aura for that, and you can't change class or race requirements. So all of those, remember, this spell is an illusion. It's not actually physically changing things in any kind of way. It is just giving the illusion of something else. That's what's taking place. So what can you use it for? So if you have yourself a spell casting villain, somebody who's set themselves up and needs a place to stay, and generally a whole lot of stuff to protect. You've got your big hideout. You've got your cave, your dungeon, your workshop, and you can start doing crazy things like, if you've got some treasure, absolutely, you could cast the spell on that, and that would make it, either if you wanted to make it appear magical, you can make it appear magical. You can give it an aura that doesn't actually exist, or you can make the things in here appear to be mundane and have a different aura or no aura whatsoever. I think the most useful aspect to this is to remove the aura completely and make something that is magical appear to be non-magical, so that people don't flog it. That's probably one of the big aspects to this particular spell. The other thing is, say, if this is a magic rug here, we can now eliminate the aura and the detection of there being any magic on it whatsoever. And as long as they don't touch it and use identify, then we're all sweet. So what does that mean? That means we can use Glyph of Warding. We can have other types of spells cast on the rug. We can cast a spell on the statues and then disguise it later on, or eliminate its detection by using Nystul's magic aura, which is hugely useful. So if you have something that is magical in there that you want to sort of mask or hide, this is why it's so useful to you. If you have sort of like a spell casting dragon who needs sort of, some way of protecting their treasure hoard, you can make pretty much all of your treasure hoard appear non-magical so that people don't steal it. Oh, how come this dragon has so many magic, so much treasure? There's so much gold, there's so much silver, but there's just mundane items in here. That doesn't make an awful lot of sense. And that's because they've spent enough time, if you've got a spell casting dragon, to actually cast Nystul's magic aura on it. And, if you've got traps that are set up with magic effects on them, so these mouths over here, you can disguise it again with Nystul's magic aura. You could, if you have something like a gargoyle, you can make the aura coming off your gargoyle appear slightly different. So you can change the creature type by altering that, and you can change its alignment. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, that's a good question. Changing the alignment and the creature type might be simply to stall the player's characters and give them sort of, let their guard fall down so that you can use your monster more effectively. Maybe that's what's trying to take place. Or maybe this monster has been pre-programmed to pretend to be their friends but lure them into a trap. So Nystul's magic aura may not be the all-encompassing, I can hide all magical effects and there's nothing that can get past it, but it can be used to really mess with your players' characters. And really, we're not talking about the players' characters. We want to mess with the players. That's really what we're after. So it is perfectly fine for countering something like Detect Magic. It's going to do that fine. Okay, you can definitely create fake magic items, which kind of pointless because it's going to get given away. It's going to be given away pretty quickly. As soon as you put a magic aura on a non-magical item, why would you do that? Well, first off, they're going to probably inspect it. They're going to use a short rest or identify and be able to figure out, well, hang on, there's something odd going on here. And with a bit of inspection, they will find out you have just put the effect, a fake effect on it with Nystul's magic aura, okay? What about if I want to make a magical item appear non-magical? That is probably the most useful aspect of the spell. I think that's the one that I would go for the most, because now most players, whether they are casting the spell or using a ritual, are relying on Detect Magic. Remember, Identify is one of those spells that is still going to be required probably only after they get a ping from their Detect Magic. They're not going to try everything out with, they're not going to go Detect Magic and Identify with everything they come across. They're going to fall back on Detect Magic. So you're going to wind up being able to avoid things being stolen from your big baddie. So that's a good aspect to it. Tricking your players by altering the aura is just going to result in more inspection. As with any kind of object, same sort of problem. This spell works really well in conjunction with another spell. So cast a Glyph of Warding somewhere, put Nystul's Magic Aura over it, and then of course it's not going to be picked up by Detect Magic, it's not going to be picked up by a Perception check, and therefore kaboom, and whatever effect you have put on your Glyph of Warding is going to take place. So really, really helpful in that aspect, and there are other ways that you could apply it if you needed to as well. But that's the one that I think is most useful. Also, if you have a spell that allows you to disguise by illusion an object or a creature, and then you put Nystul's Magic Aura on it, then what you can do is essentially make them harder to detect as having some sort of disguise magic on them. So that's a really good way of applying it as well. So in conjunction with other spells, really helpful. The alignment thing, I feel like that's more going to just, you're just waiting for your players to put down their guard rather than do very much more of anything else. So now you have the opportunity to make a few changes to your villain's lair. For those of you who are players and trying to figure out how you can use it yourself, I'm not sure that it's hugely practical because it's got a long duration. 24 hours is a long time, but it's not going to be hugely useful when you get into a situation where you just don't have time to do that sort of thing. And it's going to burn a slot. A level 2 slot is gone by using this spell. So not hugely useful in that aspect. So if you have any questions or feedback, please put them down in the comments. Look, I have many videos, particularly on spells. I've got I think it's like 48 spell videos. You're welcome to go and check those out. And I also have a Patreon account where you can support the channel by paying a little bit, and you get exclusive content, and I prioritize the patrons' videos over everybody else. I also have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon where you can buy stuff online, and I get a small commission, which is very helpful as well. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Sharing the video is really, really important. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live, because I go live a lot, and when I publish new videos, and that happens a lot as well. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.